everyone. Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com and also one half of the amazing Universal Connections duo. Bobbi Roundtree, Born Medium, is not with me this week. It is just me. I'm going solo. And in case you missed it at the end of our show last Thursday, Bobbi and I had a little announcement. I've been finding it really challenging and difficult to come every Sunday for our Oracle chats. It's usually my day off, and it has really put me in a tricky spot. So we're changing things up. We're going to have 1 week when we do the show together. We're going to have the next week, either Bobbi or I will do it, and then we'll switch off. So we'll each do a week on our own. And then we're going to have a week where we have a pre-recorded surprise for you. So out of every 4 weeks, there will be one that we're doing the show together, 1 week that I'm doing the show, 1 week that Bobbi's doing the show. And the last week is something that's kind of interesting. We had lots of really amazing ideas come through from you guys last week. You didn't realize it, but it was awesome. So yeah, I'm really excited about what that's going to look like. I also recognized in going through my memories, my personal memories on Facebook, that January the 15th, 2017 was actually the first day that I started doing live readings. Many live readings. I mean, I have been reading since 2006 professionally. And in 2013, started my own YouTube channel where I'd put up a weekly reading, and I found that it was too much and decided to go live, and I would do mini readings live. So of course, in honor of that, I figured part of what we would do on our Oracle chats today was we would do some live readings. But before you start putting your questions in the comments box, I'm going to ask you to wait. One of the things that I found with doing like a live reading show like that is everybody's really focused on coming, getting their readings. I'd have people posting questions before I even went live, and I'd have so many comments I couldn't possibly get through them. People wouldn't be live with me anymore when I was doing their readings, and I'd get messages after, "Oh, did you read me? Did you do my reading?" And then would be asking where the reading was. So we're going to change things up a little bit. My intention is that I'm going to be able to connect with people while you guys are still with me, still live, before you go off and live your lives and do your things. So as you can see at the bottom of my window here, hello is welcome. No questions yet. Please save your questions. So I'm going to ask you not to post them just yet, and I'll let you know when you can. And Debbie, I just saw your question here. I'm going to ask you to ask it again because I'm not going to be coming back looking for questions. So hold on and don't ask until I've invited you to ask. So awesome. Hello to Christy and hello to Debbie. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining me. And for everybody else who's joined, Bethany, I see you're on today as well. Thank you for popping on. It's always a pleasure for me to connect with you guys in this way. I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day to be here. So one of the things that's really been popping up strongly for me has been self-care. And last weekend, I was a presenter at the More Than Existing Summit. It was an online summit. It was my second year doing it. It was absolutely amazing, such an amazing experience. If you have the opportunity to check it out next year, pop over and follow Corey Thorne. She is fabulous, and she's the one who hosts it. And my topic of conversation was self-care, pro-care, ritual, and intuition. And I've been finding more and more people are talking about self-care, about the need to slow down, to take care of themselves. And one of the things I really noticed last year was that self-care was amazing. Self-care being the things that we do to help and support our physical and mental health and well-being. But that it tended to be things that we were doing in reaction to already being burnt out. And it occurred to me that as amazing as self-care is, what if we started to get ahead of it? And that's where the idea of pro-care or proactive self-care came from. And in this, there are lots of different things that we can do. We can have regular check-ins to make sure that we're doing well. We can even schedule time in our week before we're needing to take time for ourselves and say, hey, this is going to be a day that I'm going to do a check-in. How am I doing? What do I need to shift? How can I change? It's a really great opportunity to incorporate things like exercise, going for walks with friends, or connecting with friends in social ways that don't necessarily involve holding and supporting space for everyone. Counseling can be a really wonderful, proactive self-care thing. And of course, I've recently launched what's going to be a project of both Bobbi and I, myritualsoak.com, which is a kit that helps and supports you through connecting with what you need to release, what you need to forgive, and what you're ready to create and manifest. It's a whole program and series, and it includes the My Ritual Soak bath soaks as well. So lots of different things that have been happening and coming up. So the way that I like to start the show is I like to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to receive a reading of some sort. So what I do, I'll just pop this up here, add it to the stream, is to think of a question and choose a crystal. And my intention had actually been to choose some really specific crystals for today, but I didn't have a chance to take the picture and to make the slide for you. So we're using one of the old ones. And this is actually one of my favorite ones because citrine, ametrine, and amethyst are all incredibly powerful crystals. They're easy to find, so it's not like they are really unusual. And that's really important for me, is that people have access to the tools and the resources that are helpful and beneficial. But also the components of citrine, ametrine, and amethyst are all very similar. So ametrine is the crystal that's here in the middle, and it's actually an amalgamation of both amethyst and citrine. All three of these are types of quartz. And the chemical composition of citrine and amethyst is the same. The only difference between the two is citrine was formed at a higher or a hotter temperature. And so ametrine is amethyst with pockets of citrine in it. So pockets and areas where it formed at a hotter temperature. And you have this really beautiful, amazing crystal. So what I'm going to do is, it looks like I don't have the cards that I usually use here. That's okay. I'm going to pull one card to represent each of these crystals. So let's take a moment and let's think about any questions you may have. You may ask more than one. That's absolutely fine. Just choose a crystal to represent that answer for you. So we'll drop down for a moment and we'll breathe. And we'll ask. You can ask something, you can ask a specific question. You can ask, what is it that I need to know? What do I need to focus on? We're still very early on in 2023, and a lot of people are wondering about the year that's coming up. So what do I need to know for 2023? What is a theme that I might be working with or that I want to be aware of moving through 2023? All of these are awesome questions. So while you're thinking about your question, choose a crystal, either citrine, ametrine, or amethyst. And I'm going to pull a card for each of them. So I've got our amethyst card, and I'm going to shuffle these guys. And we've got an ametrine card, and we've got here the citrine card. I didn't plan this, but actually each of the card decks that I pulled from make a lot of sense and work really well. So let me just take this down. There we go. And just to put it out there as well, any questions that come up at this point, I'm not going to be answering in reading. So wait to ask your questions until we get a little bit further. I'll just do a really quick hello to Christine. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so the first card that we had is actually citrine, because I was reading them incorrectly. Interesting. So the card that we have here is birthday. A significant birthday holds the answer to your question. So this for me is a really interesting card to come up for it, because it speaks to not only birthdays, but it also can speak to anniversaries and other times that we might be in a place of celebration, renewal, fresh starts, and new beginnings. So with this card, if you chose citrine for your question, first of all, there may be a significant birthday event or celebration that is having an impact on what it is that you're asking about, what you're looking at. I also see this as encouragement to make sure that you are celebrating the things within the circumstance and the situation that you're asking about as well. So for example, if I was asking about work and this card came up for me, birthday doesn't make sense to me. My birthday's in July. It's not a really big deal for me. I don't really have any like celebration things that are coming up. But what it says to me is that it's really important to celebrate what's happening on a day-to-day basis. So often we are rushing, go, go, go through life, and we're focusing on, okay, well, what's next and what's next and what's next. And this card is saying, whoa, slow down, take a step back and look at where you are right now and all of the things that were celebratory moments along the way that brought you to this point that maybe you missed out on. This is encouragement to make sure that you're slowing down and enjoying each moment that you're in and finding the amazing things within this moment. Okay, if you chose ametrine, actually, I'll also say citrine is also a crystal of clearing and cleansing. So if you were drawn to citrine for this question, also ask yourself, is there something that I'm needing to release, that I'm needing to let go of so that I can celebrate, or so I can be present, or so I can start moving forward? Okay, we're going to go to ametrine. And this card deck is, I want to say it's a Lightworker card deck. It's one of Doreen Virtue's old ones, and Angel Therapy, that's what it is. And the card that we have for you here is the Archangel Michael card. You're working very closely with this powerful archangel who's protecting and guiding you through the situation. So Archangel Michael is like one of the big guys. He helps and supports us in releasing things that no longer work, that are no longer serving us. He helps us with our life path, our life purpose, being on path and on direction. And he really helps us to understand the power that we have in where we are and what we're doing. He is fiercely protective, and I kind of feel like a big brother energy that comes from him. I often feel very shielded and very supported. And so know that whatever situation it is that you're asking about right now, that you are supported in moving forward in the choices that you're making. And I'm also seeing Archangel Michael coming through and helping to clear the path or to clear the way so that you aren't stumbling over your feet, or you're not stumbling over the different options that you're looking at. So Archangel Michael is a fabulous angel to have in your corner, to have your back. And it's really interesting. I wanted to focus on the properties of the crystals, and ametrine is just slipping away from me. But I do see it as a very high vibration crystal. Amethyst is very high vibe. Citrine is also very high vibe. Both of them are, or all of them, are clear quartz or quartz crystals. And so all of that is all about raising energy and vibration. And I see it as being that balance between like raising your energy and vibration and clearing the path, and raising it and clearing the path. So lots of opportunity for clearing and forward movement coming up with this card. The last one that we pulled for is Amethyst. This is the Take Back Your Power card. And this is, I believe, Archangel Raziel. Use your God-given power and intention to manifest blessings in your life. So whatever it is that you are asking about, see if there is some way that you're giving away your power, or you are not allowing yourself to step forward. I see this as in part empowerment and self-confidence. It's a card that's saying, hey, remember who you are. Remember how amazing and incredible you are. And remember the power that you have to make change in your life, to make change in these circumstances and situation. I'm also hearing a lot of choice coming up with this card as well. And sometimes we feel really stuck in circumstance or situation because we don't feel that we have any choice. And sometimes that's true. Like maybe we don't have the choice to drastically or radically shift the situation, but perhaps we have the choice in how much energy we devote to the situation, how much resources we put into the situation. So remember that regardless of what it seems like on the surface, you do have a lot of choice, and there is a lot of empowerment. And part of coming into that is remembering who you are. I also see Archangel Raziel as a fabulous teacher who's really helping and supporting us in learning the lessons while we're here. So perhaps this situation or this circumstance that you're asking about is saying, hey, there's something that we can learn from this. We can learn from this experience, or that we need to employ tools, techniques, or understandings that we've learned in the past. So there's lots of opportunity for growth manifestation, and change. And amethyst is a crystal that is all about lifting up. It is connected with intuition and psychic ability, and it is connected to like those upper chakras that we really use to connect with God, source, universe, spirit, divine, whatever your belief system is. It allows us and it supports us in connecting with what is outside of us. Hello, Anna. It's wonderful to see you. Thanks so much for joining me today. So before I open up the show to asking your personal questions, here are the things that I want to talk about. First, please ask a specific question. I don't work with, do you have any messages for me? That doesn't work. The readings that I do are primarily psychic. And if I tap into you and open up to you, I get this. And I only have room to talk about this. So please ask a specific question. For example, what do I need to know about the current romantic relationship I'm in? What do I need to know about changing my career? So these are some of the questions that allow me to hone in on a couple pieces of information for you so that I have time to share with everyone. Mediumship. So Bobbi is an absolutely amazing and incredible medium, and I expect that she is going to be doing her show around mediumship readings. Mediumship is not my forte, and it's not something that I'm likely to connect in a couple of minutes that I have with you. So please, let's focus on questions about past, present, and future. I can totally do that. Work, career, business, finances, romance, relationship, family connections. I can't remember if I talked about career, intuition, spirituality. All of those are things that I can talk about, but we just won't connect with your deceased loved ones. So let me see. And here we go. You can ask your specific questions. Awesome. Okay, life path purpose for 2023. Okay, so first of all, when people ask me about life path questions, or pardon me, life purpose questions, one of the things that I really want to focus on is that we all have the same purpose. We all have the purpose to come here, to learn, to be the best people that we can be. We're going to go through mistakes, through ups and downs. And so those are the things that I focus on when we talk about life purpose, because that's from a soul level while we're here. Each of us have different ways that we're going to connect and to learn and to do those things. So let's take a look and see, Debbie, what we need to focus on for you in terms of your life path. Like, where is life taking you? First of all, it feels like there's something really heavy that you've been holding on to that you're getting rid of. And it feels like it's like, I feel like I'm dragging it along behind me. It feels like it's chained to me. And I am kind of wondering if it might have to do with something health related, because I'm feeling it a lot in my stomach. I'm feeling actually a little bit sick tapping into it. So I would say that this is something that you're probably very aware of. And it feels like this is the year that you're saying, hey, like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm ready for change. And it feels like it's a really proactive year for you in that. In fact, one of the things that I would say, if I look at 2023 for you, is I would say that there's like a general theme of healing and well-being that's coming up. I'm looking to support myself in ways that are beneficial to me. And there's this feeling of reaching out externally for that support. And part of what I'm seeing is that you're coming back into yourself. So in addition to healing, it feels like there is development with intuition. And one of the big things I have coming up for you with that is breath and breathing. So learning to regulate your breathing, regulating your nervous system through breath and breathing, and that this is part of the way that you are connecting with your intuition and your intuitive abilities. I'm also seeing that you've got really strong connection with, I was going to say angels. Angels are definitely present, but there's something else that's even more present for you that it feels like you're connecting with. These feel like they're some form of guide. So to me, guides can be a lot of different things. Guides can be ascended masters. So these would be people who had physical lives on the earth, who have ascended, have crossed over, and who they continue to help and support the general population. So examples of these would be people like Jesus or Mother Mary or Buddha, or Mother Teresa is also now an ascended master. So it feels like that might be part of where you're receiving some support as well. But actually, you've got a whole pile. I couldn't even pick them all out if I tried. So there's a lot. So it feels like part of this weight that's holding you down is like a literal physical, sorry, not necessarily physical, but it's a literal weight that is keeping your energy low, your vibration low, so that you're not able to connect as easily and readily with these higher vibrations. So healing and moving forward are big parts of what you've got coming up for 2023. I don't have a lot that's coming up specifically around work because it feels like the intention is more around the work that you're doing for yourself. So I just pulled a card for you. This is the Archangel Oracle card deck, and the card that we have here is Comfort. This is Archangel Azrael, and his message is, I am with you in your time of need, helping your heart to heal. This is a really big one. Archangel Azrael helps and supports us, particularly with grief, but anything on mental, emotional level. So whatever it is that you are going through at this time, call on Archangel Azrael, ask him for help and support in all of the healing that you're doing, in releasing this thing that feels like it's holding you down, and also in being able to lift up to connect with angels and guides and whoever is waiting for you. Debbie, it was a pleasure connecting with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. Anna, thank you for joining us. Okay, so Anna's asking about romance in 2023. Let's see, that's a little more general than I usually ask for, but let's see what we've got coming up. So actually, I've got breath and breathing coming up for you too. I don't think that I'm still connected to Debbie's energy. I'm pretty sure that this is a message for you as well. So I want to encourage you to slow down and to take a breath. And actually, it feels like this also relates to romance and to love life. When I ask about what's happening and going on, I'm really pulled and torn, because on the one hand, I'm seeing that there's a connection with somebody who's currently here, but I'm also seeing like a whirlwind of other people who are coming up around you. And so that tells me that either there is somebody that you're currently involved with, or that you haven't completely moved on from or processed from. And you're looking at the carousel of people who are coming up around you. And so part of what I'm hearing is that you're needing to slow down, to take a breath and focus on who and what you're really wanting to connect with in 2023. Is there an existing relationship that you want to put energy into? Is there somebody from the past who you haven't been able to completely let go of, or haven't been really firm in boundaries with? Sometimes that's what comes up too, is their energy is still really connected with us, even though we're not connected with them. And then this circle of people that I see coming around, again, feels like it has to do with deciding, okay, who and what is it that you're wanting to connect with in 2023? I see the first couple of months feel like you're kind of getting your bearings, and I feel like we've got some healing that you're going through and that you're doing right now. But as we move forward, love life feels like it's really picking up. The sense that I have is that there's a desire for a deeper connection. So whether that's in an existing relationship, or whether it's being open to somebody on this carousel that's new who's popping in, as we move through April, May of 2023, I've got a lot of stability in romance and relationship that's coming up for you. And it feels really exciting. And part of the reason that it's possible is because of what you are focusing on the first couple of months this year. So really make sure that you take your time to focus on yourself, focus on what it is that you want, get really clear in that, so that when you are connecting with others, that really shines through. So we have here Archangel Raphael, and his message is healthy lifestyle. Eat a healthful diet, get adequate sleep, and exercise regularly for optimal health. When this card comes up, to me, it's all about getting back to basics. And I know that you were asking about love and romance and what's coming up. And I see getting back to basics in this as well, like being really clear. What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're wanting? Or what is it you're wanting to experience? And I think experience actually might be a really significant word in this for you. So yeah, what are you wanting to experience? And coming back into the basics of that. This can also be encouragement from a health and well-being point of view, to make sure that you have some form of regular routine that's supporting you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well. And it was a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining us today. Sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. Okay, so we're looking at Bethany. Hi, Bethany. Thanks for joining us. And Bethany's wondering about what to expect in 2023 financially. Okay, so when I ask, often finances come in for me in going up the hill, going down the hill, or things being in plateau. So in the initial, I feel like we're kind of on a gravel road. So there is some sort of balance and stability that's with it because it's fairly flat, but it's also a little bit bumpy. It's nothing that you can't handle, but it doesn't feel like it's quite as smooth as you would like for it to be. As we move into March, April, May, I'm seeing things starting to come into a slight incline and an increase before we plateau. And then we go into another incline and increase, and then we plateau again. So what I'm seeing is that there's an overall increase in your finances as we move through 2023, even if things feel like they have a bit of a rocky start at the beginning. I had a reading, I think it was yesterday or the day before. It was a day this week. And one of the questions that came up was around finances. And the message that came through felt like it was one that was important for many people to have. And so I asked my client if she was okay with sharing the general message, and she was. There's a lot of talk and conversation that's going on right now around heading into recession and global recession, not just in Canada and the United States, but globally, that either we are or we're heading into. And with that can come a fair amount of fear. And so whether or not it's something that you are specifically consuming in like news or media that you're connecting with, that general kind of energy is still around us. When it comes to increasing finances, one of the biggest detriments to that is being in a place of fear or being in a place of uncertainty. And one of the places that we can often find finances being a little less than what we would like is at the grocery store, particularly if you have family that you're supporting, and particularly if you have young people who are possibly starting to eat more than they have in the past. I'm looking specifically at teenagers or people who have other reasons that they're maybe eating more or differently than they have in the past. And the message that was coming through for my client this week is that it's really important to celebrate when you go to the grocery store or when you go to the farmer's market or however you purchase and access your food. And with this, there was the additional message that came through was that having a budget can actually be something that's helpful and playful, and coming into a place of this being a game rather than being something serious to stress about, to worry about. And so if you are one of those people who's concerned from a financial point of view and wanting to manifest and create more in 2023, one of the things that you can do is start approaching any bills that you have with a sense of fun and play and creativity and taking yourself out of that place of stress. Okay, I want to get back to you, Bethany. Let's take a look and see what other messages we have coming up for you around finances. To kind of recap that overall message, I am seeing finances continuing to improve and to increase. So don't be thrown off track by whatever might come up for the next couple of months. Like I see that you have the support and stability that you need. It just feels like it's a little less certain than perhaps you would choose. Things do feel like they're continuing to increase, to improve. I don't have any unexpected significant expenditures that are coming up, but I am wanting to also be prepared. So for example, if you know that you're going to need to have some work done on your vehicle, get it done sooner rather than later, because it feels like that's actually going to end up being a smaller bill overall rather than a bigger bill later. The card that we have here for you, Bethany, is prioritize. This is Archangel Metatron, and his message is focused on your highest priorities. I will help you get organized and motivated. I would say that in addition to that, that part of the reason that life is moving or finances are increasing as they are is because there is less that is going out. And also I'm seeing more that is coming in. So take a look at finances and see where and how your money is being spent. And I'm seeing dedicating energy into building financial savings this year as well. And it feels like you're doing it in a really interesting way. I don't know what kind of work you have, but it feels to me like there is some aspect of you being able to create and generate more revenue. And it's almost like you've got a project that you're focusing on and working on. And that with this project, you're able to say, hey, this is what I'm going to take the money from this and it's going to go to this specific thing. So whether it's something that you have a bill for or a debt for, or it's going into savings, I'm doing this, I'm focusing on this specific thing, and whatever comes in from that project goes to that. And it feels like that's part of how finances are also shifting for you. Bethany, it was such a pleasure connecting with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Debbie, I only do one question per person during the show. So if we get through everybody and at the end of the show and your question's still there, I'll definitely answer for you. Okay, so Leanne, hi, thanks for joining us. Let me see, what are we talking about for work and finances? Work is improving, but not until the middle of February. So I'm feeling kind of putting my head down and just saying, hey, this is what it is for the time being. I'm going to put my energy into it. And then something shifts and changes in February. And it feels like you're able to step back and say, hey, what I've been focusing on and how I've been doing these different things, it's not working the way that I want it to. And, I'm ready for change. I wasn't expecting that. The change that I had coming up for you felt like it was within the existing structure that you're working in. But what I'm seeing is as we start to get into February, that there is something new that's coming up. So whether you're currently self-employed and you're looking at making a change in your business, how it runs, how it functions, or if you're working for somebody else and there's a change that's available in the existing structure, or there's an opportunity outside of you, any outside of that structure, rather, any one of those feel like they would be what we've got coming up in February. So again, there's this sense of something big is just kind of shifting. And it's like the way that this has been working, it doesn't work as I need it to anymore. And so I'm ready for change. And as we move into the middle of March, it feels like there's momentum that's building and there's change that's coming. I'm seeing holding on. So it feels like the change that's coming up is something that is probably outside of your comfort zone. And you're kind of wanting to make sure that you have a security blanket or some sort of like net that will catch you before you make this change. Like it feels like the opportunity for big change is present and there for you. And what I'm seeing is as you breathe and as you slow down, that you will start to see all of those little steps that are going to hold you and catch you as you make the change, as they just kind of start falling in. I wish that I could like project this image, this picture that I have coming. I feel like it's from a movie. And as the actor or actress is walking along, like the next step appears and they take a step, and then the next step, and then they take that step. It feels like that's what's coming up. So what it's going to ask you to do is it's going to ask you to slow down to make sure that you're seeing those steps, because otherwise the overwhelm, you could completely miss it. When I ask about finances, it feels like there's going to be a little bit of a dip initially, but part of that is coming because there's an expectation that when you make this change, that there will be a dip. But what I'm seeing is that it's something that is going to be temporary and that it will pick back up again. September feels like it's a really great month from a financial perspective. It feels like everything that you've been working towards is finally paying off. And you're like, yes, I'm at this new level. I'm going to stay here. This is going to remain consistent. And then I've got growth that's coming in beyond that. So Leanne, let's just take a look and see what messages are coming up for you in the cards. I've got the teaching and learning card. This is Archangel Zadkiel, and his message is keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. So when this card comes up, there are lots of different reasons for it. One, it can be that you're needing to focus on learning from where you are right now. What have you learned up to this point? What do you know about yourself in terms of what you need to support yourself and moving forward? What is it that you want to focus on? What do you need to be happy? These are some of the questions that you might be asking about, like what I can learn from right now. This can also be a call to delve more deeply into the things that you already know. So sometimes when we learn things, we learn them just at the surface and we don't dive in as deeply as we can. So that's part of what this can be calling for you to do as well. It can also be a call to additional education or to be sharing what you already know. So keep this in mind as those new opportunities start to present themselves, particularly kind of mid-February to mid-March. That's going to be a really significant time for change. And particularly if it has anything to do with sharing or training or learning, all of those feel like really relevant possibilities. Leanne, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure connecting with you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. Christine, it's great to see you. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have coming up for romance in 2023. I've got a lot that feels like it's sitting on my heart. I've got a lot that's sitting in my throat that's feeling like it's unexpressed. I've got a little bit of grief that feels like it's coming up. I'm noticing that my energy is changing, and I'm feeling the feeling of being possibly a little bit teary, and I'm wanting to create space for that. But I'm also seeing that on the flip side of this, on the other side of this, is that there's a freshness, a newness, and opportunities that are presenting. I feel like I'm getting back into myself. And this is feeling really good. I feel like I'm learning myself and understanding myself in a completely new way, in a different way. There are things that I'm like, it's becoming really clear cut and dry. This can stay and this must go. And it's just that. It's really straightforward. When I ask about romance in 2023, I'm feeling that there are some sparkles that are coming up in these kind of big feelings that I'm feeling. I've got sparkles that feel like they're coming up kind of May, June, July. And then there's a bit of a pause, and I feel like we've got some balancing that's happening here. And I've got more sparkles that come up as we move into September, October, and November. So it feels a little bit up and downy, but I'm seeing a lot of regaining of self. And it feels like these sparkles are times that are worth investing in, relationship, people that are worth investing in, and exploring. So there is an openness that's coming in 2023. There's a sense of building that's coming in 2023 that feels amazing. And I also feel like I'm getting in touch with myself. And that feels incredible. Like I feel strong and empowered and comfortable, and like I really know who I am and what I'm doing and where I want to go and what I want to focus on. And I feel like I'm coming into a place where the world is my oyster, and there's opportunity that's here, and there's openness that's here. I'm going to go to the Romance Angels deck, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Christine around love and romance in 2023. Okay. Okay, so this has always been a really interesting card for me. The message that we have here is deception. Someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship. So when this card comes up, I don't actually see it so much as deception, as somebody being intentionally trying to deceive. The way that it comes up for me is more that this is somebody who maybe isn't being completely honest with themselves about where they are, what they want. And if I am not honest with myself, I can't be honest with you, because I haven't already been honest with myself. And it feels like that's part of what's coming up for you. I'm not exactly sure if this is you being honest with yourself or if this is somebody else, but it feels like part of what we're needing to do to get to the root of things is to make sure that people are being honest. And sometimes people aren't being honest because they don't want to hurt the other person. Potentially there is love and there's caring, or we're just people who really genuinely don't want to hurt other people. And so when this card comes up, it's asking you to be honest with yourself, and also giving space and encouragement for others to be honest with themselves so that they can be honest with you too. Christine, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Let me see. Okay, Christy, let me see how I can answer this question for you. Because for me, the question that you're asking really feels more mediumship-like, and it's outside of the realm of what I usually do. But we can see what's coming up. So Christy's asking, do you feel anyone is around me? I felt a lot of presence recently. Okay, so when I ask about this, I have a lot of spirit that's coming up around you. I'm not able to specifically identify each person. Some of them definitely feel like they're your people. So for example, a grandparent who's passed, or a sibling who's passed, or a friend who's passed, or cousin, or somebody that you know, those would be your people. I am seeing that there are others around you that are not necessarily connected to you. And the sense that I have with them is that they're kind of getting in my space, but also kind of not. So there's an interesting kind of feeling of respect that's coming through with that. And I'm wanting to encourage you. I was going to say I want to encourage you to explore it, but I also want to make sure that you have the resources that you need to feel safe and comfortable in doing so. I'm not sure why, but Bobbi shared a video on her Facebook page. It was one that she recorded about 2 years ago. I shared it on my Facebook page as well. And she was talking about earthbound spirits. I don't think that's quite what we're looking at with this, because they do feel like they've crossed over, but potentially they're connected with the space. And I'm wanting to encourage you to check out that video to see how it resonates for you. They don't feel like they're earthbound though. Yeah, I'm wanting to sit with them to find out what it is that they're wanting, what they're wanting to share. There's something about the space that you are in, or the space that you're spending time with, that's coming up. So possibly they had a connection with the space or with the land, and it feels like that's where they're coming from. But they aren't feeling like they're harmful or predatory or territorial or wanting to challenge you. It feels like they're trying to get your attention because they have messages to share. Let's just see. We're going to ask the cards and see what messages are coming up for you, Christy, around the angels. Yeah. So the card that we have here is clairsentience, which to me makes a lot of sense. I'll read the card and then I'll talk a little bit about it. Archangel Raguel, notice your recurring physical and emotional feelings as they signify divine guidance. So clairsentience is one of the 4 primary ways that we receive intuitive messages and information. It means clear feeling, and it manifests in a couple of different ways. It can manifest in picking up on emotion. So, for example, the term or the idea, walking into a room and you could cut the tension with a knife, like you're feeling the emotion that's present there. It can come in the form of physical sensation. So for example, the person that you're standing next to has a really bad headache, migraine, and you start to also experience that migraine as well. That's an example. Also, when somebody says something and people get goosebumps, like the confirmation goosebumps, that's also an example of clairsentience. There are lots of different ways of feeling people, like a tactile response, like somebody's putting their hand on your shoulder or brushing your hair away. I find spirit comes through a lot in those really tactile experiences. So when you ask this question, it's your clairsentience that's really coming to the forefront. There's something that's saying, hey, I'm feeling and perceiving someone or something around me, and I want to pay attention. So ways that you can develop your clairsentience are to recognize your feelings and your emotions. What does it feel like to feel happy in your body, or to feel scared or upset or angry? What does it feel like? And as you recognize how that feels in your body for yourself before you have the trigger, then it's easy to recognize it when it's coming at you from some other place. One of the things that I find for people as they're building and developing intuition for use in whatever way they're looking at it, because there are a lot of different ways that we use our intuition, is they feel like they're passive. So I have to just be open and just like pray and hope that whatever messages, small messages come through to me, that I understand them and I recognize what they are. And that's not true. You see, whoever is wanting to connect with us wants us to know and understand why they're there and what the message is that they're trying to deliver to us. And so if you go in with that expectation that, the angels or the guides or the spirits, they really want me to know and to understand what they're saying, then it opens things up. And once that gate is open, there's the opportunity for us to say, hey, I feel that you're there. Help me to understand what it is that you're trying to say. And so maybe what you'll do is you'll start asking questions and you'll say, do you want me to not go to this location? And maybe you'll feel in your body like an openness and a lightness, and that's a yes. Or, do you want me to go to this place? And they say no. It's like, oh man, I feel tired and exhausted. And maybe I feel a little bit scared and overwhelmed. You can ask questions because they want you to know and they want you to understand. So empower yourself. When you feel that again, say, hey, who's there? Or actually, no, I should say, it's best when you're starting out to ask yes and no questions, because yes and no can be really easy unless you're ready to accept whatever thought and idea pops into your head. Because sometimes who's there, and immediately you'll have an image of your mind of a grandmother who passed. You have to trust that that's the message and that's the person. So that's why I say asking yes and no can be easier as you're learning and growing and developing and coming into understanding. Christy, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Kai. Hi, Kai. It's so good to see you. So Kai is asking, do you see any changes soon in relationship? So romance in 2023. I'm seeing you staying steady and staying the same for a while longer. It feels like there is something that you are working on and working through. And it's interesting because I kind of have the energy of somebody floating around you, but I feel like a lot of the focus that's coming up is really focusing on you. And I'm just going to back out for a sec and say it's really interesting that the majority of romance questions that we've had coming up, the messages have been that we're focusing on ourselves. So for everybody who's watching, if you're asking about romance, love, and relationship, take the next couple of weeks to really focus on yourself, because that feels like that's a bigger global message that's coming through. Don't be rushing into relationships. Don't be rushing out of relationships, but really take your time to explore what is there for yourself. And if you are in relationship with someone, ask that they explore what's there for them too. So getting back to Kai, what do we have for relationship coming up for you? Yeah, there is this energy of somebody else being around you, and I'm feeling somebody kind of coming in and then going out and coming in and going out. And it feels like it's a little bit of an energetic tease. Like I feel really good when they come in, and then I kind of feel a little bit deflated when they go out. And I feel really good and then a little bit deflated. This can be a bit of warning sign for like unhealthy relationship or unhealthy connection. Unless this is someone where this has been a pattern for a very long time, I don't see that being the case. This feels like this is actually opportunity for learning and healing. I'm not wanting to jump into relationship with this person right away, just because there isn't the stability and the consistency that I'm feeling you wanting and needing. But I am seeing that there's an openness and an opportunity that's coming up, and that I'm wanting to also encourage you to kind of manage your expectations around it as well, that this is not going to be something that you can kind of put your weight on just yet, because it's still a little bit rocky, still a little bit shaky, but it feels like there's the opening in the beginning for that. I'm also seeing that you can say, hey, like I'm tired of this, particularly, as I said, if this is one that's been going on like this for a while. I'm tired. I'm ready for something new. And that feels like that energy will become really present as we move into May, middle to end of May. And it feels like at that point, you're putting your foot down and you're saying, hey, you're either in or you're out, but this in-between business doesn't work anymore. And it feels like once you create that, there's a bit of space, there's a bit of peace, and things open up in September. And either this person comes back in and they're ready and they're solid, or they're completely out and we've got somebody new who's coming in. But September feels like it's a really amazing month for romance and for relationship for you, Kai. Okay, let's take a look. We're actually, so what am I doing? We're going to go to the Romance Angels cards. Oops, as I just about throw them all over the place. That's what happens for me when I throw things out of like what I'm expecting. They all end up all over the place. Okay, what do we have for Kai? Finances and career is the card that we have. So I find that significant because a lot of the messages that were coming through were about you and we're focusing on yourself. And finances and career can definitely be part of that. That can also be part of what is interfering with this flip flop back and forth that I'm seeing this person coming in and then going out and coming in and going out. Is it could be that they're wanting to be in relationship, but that there are other responsibilities that are pulling them away. They're not able to appropriately prioritize relationship. And that could be part of what says, hey, like I get that you're really busy. I'm really ready. I'm really done. I'm ready for somebody else. So financial issues are a factor in your love life right now is the message that we have on this card. So as I said, like focus on you for the next 6 weeks, solid 6 weeks. So that's kind of taking us into March, maybe even a little bit longer, and then see what's happening. But September feels like it's going to be a really significant time. Kai, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Anna, you are so welcome. Okay, Louise, if you want to ask a specific question about what's coming up in 2023, I'd love to connect with you. I don't do the general readings. I know some people do. Awesome, Ruth. Hi, it's so good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, and Bethany's saying, I do need to do a reno. Yeah, absolutely. I can totally see that's what is coming up with this, with the finances question that you were asking about. That would totally make sense. Excellent. That is a big spider. I am not exactly sure what you're talking about, Nolan, but thanks for that. I'm really hoping it's not behind me. Okay, actually, hold on just a half a second. Yeah, I figured we'd have our spammer already. So that's one of the challenges of me doing the show on my own is these spammer guys get in and they just kind of keep spamming. Hold on, I'm just gonna go through. Oh yeah, he hit a lot of people. I'm sorry, you guys. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going back and we're going to Ruth. Okay, so Ruth's asking about operation on her eye and when she's going to get it. And also she's asking about a move as well. So let's take a look and see. Your eye operation feels like it's coming up, I want to say sooner rather than later. And I have April coming through pretty strongly. One of the things that I'm seeing is that's really kind of confirming that for me is it feels like I've got stitches that are coming up. So I'm not sure if your operation is going to involve any sort of like stitching or suturing, but I am seeing that coming up. It feels like it's good. It's fine. It goes really well. And it's feeling positive. So because that was really quick, I'm also going to ask about a move for you. I see yes and no. It feels like there are options and opportunities for a move for you, but I'm kind of questioning as to whether or not it's something that you're really wanting to do, because it feels like the situation that you'd be moving into, it feels like it's the same as or possibly worse than where you are right now. So I'm really feeling pulled. There are options for you to do it, and this really feels like this comes down to choice. You know, are there benefits to this, like location or living arrangements or whatever that are in some ways better than where you are, and it kind of just makes sense. This move doesn't feel like it's going to be a permanent place for you if you decide to do it. I don't have clarity as to whether or not you're doing it, but it feels like there are definitely some benefits to making this change. But as I said, it doesn't feel like it's a permanent move. It feels like there's something else that's coming after it. I'm having a hard time seeing the timeline for when this would be happening. I have September, October coming up really strongly, but I suspect that this option is going to come up much sooner and feels like it may actually be around the time that I'm seeing your surgery coming up. So possibly this is going to be something that puts you into a place where maybe there's more help and support after your surgery. Maybe you're needing a bit of additional care, and this move will help to provide that for you. And then September, October is when the next move is coming up. So it feels like there is the potential and the option for 2 moves this year. As we move into the later part of 2023, it feels like we've got something that's feeling a little more permanent, a little more grounded, and it's more in line with what you're looking for, whether that's, location or price or space that you have or people who are around. I can't tell, but it feels like it's a better option than where you are going if you decide to make a change before then. Let's take a look, Ruth, and see. Let's see what's coming up around move for you. I'm hearing prioritize. Like, what is it? What's most important for you? This is interesting because we've actually already had this card come up today. This is the Take Back Your Power card with Archangel Raziel. Use your God-given power and intention to manifest blessings in your life. So this is really interesting, particularly when we're talking about making a move. For that bigger overall move and change, I would encourage you to take a look around to where you would want to be. So, for example, if there's a particular neighborhood or area in a city that would be really great for you because you have access to the amenities that you need, or maybe you've got friends and family close by, or there's community that's there, then I would encourage you to go and to spend time in that area. Go walk around the neighborhood, around the streets. Where is it that you would ideally like to be? If public transit is one of the things that you want to be close to, then go and ride the bus and go to the places and bring your energy into that place and into that space. This feels like it's going to be particularly relevant as we move into the fall of 2023. So beforehand, make sure that you're getting out and figuring out what it is that you want. It could be that part of the reason that things are maybe taking more time than you're expecting is that, what was I going to say? It just slipped away on me. It could be that one of the reasons that it's taking more time is that what you're asking for is actually not what you're wanting, or it's not in your best interest. And one of the ways that we can figure that out is by going and living it. So is this an area that is actually good for transit? I don't know if that's actually something you're looking for, but is it actually easy? Is it actually part of your routine and your structure? Would it actually work for you living in this area? Or is the community what you're wanting and hoping it to be? Because maybe spending time down there in that space, you're like, oh, this is actually not what I want. Or, I really enjoy when people say hello to me when I'm walking on the street and nobody's smiling or nobody's saying hi. This actually doesn't feel as good as I thought it would be. So it feels like, the next several months, next 9 months, potentially is going to be a time that you're deciding where it is that you want to be and you're bringing your energy into that space. Oh yes, we had already pulled the card for you. And this is the Take Back Your Power card. So yes, you have the ability to manifest, but just make sure that what you're manifesting is what you actually want. Ruth, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Chantel, it's always so good to see you. I'm so glad that you joined us today. Thank you. Leanne, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yes. If you want to ask a specific question, I would so love to connect with that for you, Chantel. And Christine, you are welcome. It was my pleasure. I love connecting with you. Okay. I've got lots of this spammer person on here. I'm sorry, guys. Kylie, hi. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. And I'm just going through and deleting all of these. I'm not going to be able to get them all. Let me see. Amanda, hello. It's wonderful to see you. Thanks for popping on today. Okay, so Chantel has a specific question. She's wondering about guidance on 2023 and spiritual. Oh, and little bear is still not home. I'm sorry. Okay, well, I'm sending big hugs, love, and support your way around your little bear. I hope that he comes home soon because I know how much he is loved and missed. Let's see what we've got coming up for spiritual for you in 2023. So I noticed actually one of the first things that I started doing was muscle testing. And I use this form of muscle testing in my body code sessions. And so what I'm seeing with that, Chantel, is that part of the spiritual feels like it has to do with working from a healing with healing energy. So like channeling of energy, Reiki energy, healing on an energetic level. I'm seeing you already having done a lot for yourself. I'm hearing something that's tactile, but I don't think that you're necessarily seeing and connecting with people in person, but I'm seeing the manipulation, the shift of energy around people. And I'm kind of really wanting to encourage you to explore that as part of the next steps on like on a spiritual level. And I'm also going into work that feels like it's multi-generational as well. So we're going back in generations. There is the possibility for forward, but I'm really seeing wanting to work on what has happened before, and putting energy and support into that. It feels like there is a lot of growth that's coming for you in 2023, or that you're going to experience. And the way that I'm seeing it is often I'll see like spiritual growth coming up in like an upward kind of movement, but it will often come through in like a straight path. What I'm seeing for you is like this expansion. And I have to say that this has actually been a theme for myself over the last couple of years, where it's the focus is not so much on learning more and more and more, but taking what is already known and expanding it and becoming deeper and deeper and deeper into the awareness, into the understanding, and into the practice of it. And it feels like part of this energy work that I'm seeing is part of that natural development and growth. So what you're receiving on like psychic and intuitive level feels like it's going beyond, and it's like, okay, so what more are we going to do with this? How are we going to utilize this information that's coming through to bring benefit and healing and love and support into your life and into the lives of anybody else that you're working with? I am really excited about this exploration and this growth that I'm seeing. And I've got a couple of teachers that are coming up for you too. They feel like they're spirit teachers. And it kind of reminds me a little bit in Reiki. Each level that you do, you have a new spirit guide, a new Reiki guide, who comes and helps and supports you with the learning in that level, as well as supports you in understanding and doing the work. And so it feels like it's very similar to that, that you've got some guides that are coming and helping. And I'm really excited about that. And I've also got some creativity that's coming up for you. Yeah, 2023 is going to be a big year. There's a lot that's coming through. We've got writing, we've got creating, we've got manifestation, we've got energy work. It's kind of, you're kind of running the full gamut of the things that you can learn and experience from a spiritual point of view. And that's really exciting. So I'm drawn to go to, I can never remember which cards these are. I think they're the angel therapy cards, just to see what message is coming up. Interesting. Okay, so we have the base chakra that's coming up. I like root chakra for this. Choose only positive thoughts to describe your home, career, and finances, as your words determine your outcome. That's really cool. And it's interesting because I feel that you're already fluent in the energy of words and of manifestation. But I wonder if part of this is that you're taking it to a deeper level. Again, instead of growing up, you're actually expanding out into what you already know, and you're gaining more insight, more information based on the pieces that you already have. Chantel, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your little bear as well. Okay, so we've got Amanda here. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so that's a little bit open for me, but I'll see what we have coming up. When I ask about 2023 for you, yes. So Amanda's question is, will 2023 be a good year for me? And what I'm seeing is that yes, it will be, but it also feels like it's got its own ups and downs and challenges and joys. I mean, it's kind of a tricky question, because I don't know that there are ever years that are fully and completely great, in the same way that there are never years that are fully and completely awful. There are always some things that come up, but I see those as being part of the things that helps us to say, hey, like either this year isn't completely awful because these things happened, or this was absolutely amazing, and this is part of what helped me to realize just how amazing it was. But overall, when I look at 2023 for you, it feels like it is positive. I've got some growth that's happening. It feels like that's coming up in like work and career. And I'm also seeing in the relationship section of your life, not necessarily in romantic partnership, but it feels like we're clearing the air in relationships. So whether there are things that have been left unsaid, or there's like some resentment that's kind of sitting there, it feels like relationships are being kind of cleared out a little bit, so that you're not holding on to as much, because I've got lots that's coming up in your throat chakra. So yeah, overall, 2023 feels like it's a really great year. And I'm hearing that also part of it has to do with how you're choosing to deal with the times that aren't as easy as others. And it feels like you're taking a step back and you're looking at the larger, broader perspective with them. I mean, there are some things that come up and they're truly awful and challenging and terrible. I don't have that coming up for you this year. But a lot of it really has to do with how we're choosing to interact with it and how we're choosing to take the time to support ourselves in dealing with it. I don't even remember. I don't think I've pulled a card for you yet. I don't know what's happening today, you guys. And of course, this card flipped out as I was talking, and it's the Take Back Your Power card. Like, this literally has come up. I think this is the third or fourth time today. So this one's for you as well, Amanda. This is Archangel Raziel. His message is use your God-given power and intention to manifest blessings in your life. And you know what? This, actually, thinking about it, is probably the perfect card for you for 2023. Rather than being at the whim of circumstances and things that are happening, you making the choice that 2023 is going to be absolutely freaking amazing is going to be part of what makes it absolutely freaking amazing. And part of what I'm seeing is having a little bit of a plan, having a bit of a plan in terms of what you're going to do when things, or if things start to feel like they're kind of going out of control. Okay, so if things feel like they're starting to go out of control, are there things that I know that I can put on pause so that I have the resources that I need to deal with the stuff that's coming up? And when you approach the year with having already thought about these things or having already looked at these things, then it's easier to deal with if and when they come up. But I have a lot of positive energy that's coming up for you this year, Amanda, and I'm super excited for you. I'm so grateful that you joined us today. Thank you for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Okay. We've got Kareen. Hi, Kareen. Thanks for joining us. It's always good to see you. Kareen's asking, can I return to work soon? I'm hearing yes, you can. But at the same time, I've got kind of this flip-flop coming up about whether or not you want to, or whether or not you want to in this way. So it feels like there are still some circumstances or situations that are just not quite what you want them to be. And so I'm seeing you holding back and holding off for a little while. When I ask, I see lots of windows that are opening. So there's lots of opportunity for you to go back to work. But it feels like, as I said, you're kind of sitting back and you're being a little selective or a little bit choosy before you jump into heading back into work. What do we have? I had July popping up as being a really significant time for you around work. And it feels like that's part of when you say, okay, circumstances and situations are right. I'm ready. Let's do this. And then it feels like you jump right back into the whole swing of things and everything feels really busy and go, go, go. And it feels like you're really thriving in that environment. I'm wanting to encourage you to make sure that you are taking the time to heal, to recover, to balance now where you are. I'm seeing getting out and doing things like going for a walk and doing physical things, feeling like they're really important and significant for you, for your overall health and mental well-being, emotions, but also physically too. It feels like it makes a difference for you. And possibly it's part of what's helping you to get into that adjustment for that really busy go, go, go. Let's see. We're going to pull a card for you, Kareen, and see what messages are coming up. Okay. The card we have here, this is Archangel Zadkiel, and his message is compassion. Soften your heart with respect to the situation and all of the people involved, including yourself. So when this card comes up, it really is encouraging that slowing down, that going into emotion, that emotional place, and offering forgiveness and offering compassion. It's absolutely amazing how important it is for us to be compassionate with ourselves. Because when we are able to offer ourselves compassion, we then have the capacity to offer compassion to others. And I think one of the biggest ways that I have seen and experienced this as a woman in her early 40s who doesn't have children is the way that women who have had children speak about things like childbearing and labor, and the way that they interact and engage with young women who either are pregnant or considering pregnancy. And there hasn't been as much compassion as there could have been. And as a result, a lot of the focus actually feels like it becomes angry and resentful. And that's then passed on to the next generation of young women who are coming up and who are pregnant and having children. When compassion is offered in those times of challenge, we are then better able to offer compassion to people who are in similar times of challenge. When there isn't compassion that is present, then we push through and we force through. And well, like, I didn't have any help and support, so you shouldn't have any help and support. And it kind of creates a really challenging dialogue for people who are potentially struggling, and also for the fact that you struggled and didn't have the compassion and the support that you needed. So that's just an example. I'm not saying that's the case for you, but it's an example of how being compassionate with ourselves determines the amount of compassion that we have, that we're able to give to others as well. Corrine, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Let me see. Awesome. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so we've got Louise here. Hi, Louise. Thanks for joining us. Louise says, I'd like to know when life will move forward in work or love for 2023. Okay, so work is actually the one that's standing out for me the most. When I ask about work for you, everything is feeling kind of balanced. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of shift and change that's currently happening. It feels like things are as you expect them to be. So you go in, you do your thing, and you come out, but you take a certain amount of stress with you too. I have the feeling that you're able to do what you're doing with your hands, with one hand tied behind your back. So that when that message comes up for me, it says that you're very capable and confident in the role that you have. And likely it's something that you've been doing for a while, because you do feel quite comfortable in it. And again, that also has that feeling of routine. So even if each day is, not carbon copy the same as the last, the things that come up for you during the course of the day are expected, and that's part of it. So work at the moment is feeling fairly static. And when I ask about change, when I ask about forward movement and stability, part of what I'm hearing is that you are the one who's standing in the way of that change, because I have this feeling of strong desire for change. And yet at the same time, I have a lot of fear and discomfort that's coming up around the idea of actual change. And it feels like that's a big part of what you are working on and what you're shifting, because I see that there have been offers that have come along the way that have offered change, but that you've pulled back for one reason or another. And it could be that financially it didn't make sense. It could be that it wasn't work that you were really interested in doing. Or it could be that it felt like it was outside of like your league, that it felt like it was a really big jump. It's the really big jump ones that I'm really wanting to focus on, because it feels like you've got another opportunity that's coming up later in 2023. This doesn't feel like this is a right away thing, which is actually good. I want to take a moment to really embrace the fact that it doesn't feel like it's right away, because given the feelings that I have coming up around what has stopped forward movement in the past, you're going to need some time to sort those out and to come to terms with it. Earlier, we had the deception card that came up around love and relationship and romance. And that the important part was that we needed to be really honest with ourselves and really clear with ourselves about what it is that we wanted and where we felt that we had ability or deficiency. And it feels like that's part of what's coming up for you when it comes to work and career and forward movement. So being really clear about what it is that you want, where you want to go, and what you are open to trying. And if you have these conversations with yourself before the opportunity presents itself, then you're in a better position to be able to take advantage of that new opportunity that's presenting. I have a couple of little openings. None of them feel like they're really stable and secure until we get to about October. Again, I see this as a positive thing, because it feels like it then gives you the opportunity to look at choices, to look at what's going on for you inside. There are a couple of openings that are happening before then, but I suspect that you're closing those doors and choosing to stay where you are instead. So September, October feel like they're going to be really significant times for you when it comes to change and forward movement in work and career. Let's take a look for Louise and ask what messages are coming up for you. Ooh, I love this. So we've got Archangel Michael. He says, you are safe. I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and home. I don't know if you were here with us earlier. We had the Archangel Michael card coming up in a different deck with one of the crystal readings that we had. Archangel Michael helps and supports us in doing work that is fulfilling, in like living our life purpose and focusing on life path. And Archangel Michael is one of the best angels to work with when it comes to making shift and making change. You may notice he's often represented with a sword, and the sword is what he used to help us let go of fears, to let go of worries. So in those time and space of becoming really honest with yourself about, you know, what might be holding you back, what you're excited about, what fears you may have, Archangel Michael can really help and support us in moving forward with that and bringing in opportunity. So as you are doing whatever work you may do to help create or to invite in new circumstances and situations, call on Archangel Michael, ask him for help and support in finding work that is fulfilling for you, that meets the criteria and the requirements that you have. So whether that's, you know, money and finances or schedule or time off or flexibility, whatever is important to you in your work, call on Archangel Michael, ask him for help and support with that. And I've got one more. Archangel Shamuel is popping in too. Shamuel also helps and supports us in finding ideal work and career and helps us with the transition process too. If you can't remember the names, that's totally okay. Angels, please help me with whatever it is that you're working on is more than enough. Louise, it was such a pleasure connecting with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Oh, Ruth saying she misses the island. Yeah, the island's a pretty beautiful place. The island misses you too. I'm sending big hugs and lots of love your way too. Kylie, if you want to ask a specific question, I would absolutely love to answer a question for you and see what messages are coming up. And Carol, same for you as well. I mentioned this at the beginning. I don't do the general readings. Please ask me something specific that you want me to look into in your life. The way that I describe it is the readings that I do are primarily psychic. We pull in the cards at the end. When I tap into a person, I get this. I only have time to give you this. So help me bring it down to this by asking a specific question. That would be amazing. Okay, so Amanda's got a really good question here. And I know that we've done a reading, but what can I do to boost the positive? Yeah. That's a great question. And that feels like that's a really open question. So we're going to take a look at it. Things that you can do to boost the positive would be taking the time to recognize when you're going into the negative. Oh, hold on. You're also talking about, I remember now the messages that had come up for you. Looking at the year. So just for everybody else, so that we're all on the same page, the message that had come up for Amanda was that she was asking about what was coming up for 2023. Was it going to be a good year? And one of the messages that came through was that there are good and bad in all of the years, regardless of what it is. And so Amanda's asking, what can I do to really boost the positive? One of the things you can do is recognize when the positive is happening. So popping into a place of gratitude and saying, hey, this experience that I'm in right now is really amazing. I'm really grateful for it. I'm excited for the next time that I feel this way. Gratitude is huge. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like if you're dealing with, I'm going to say a child, if you're dealing with a young child, and you're, making sure that they're clothed and they're fed and, doing all of the things that we do to care for children. And if all they're doing is throwing temper tantrums, it becomes really difficult to continue to be really positive in that moment. And so imagine that you are the universe. It's really difficult when you're providing the food and you're providing the clothing and you're providing the play and all that the person is able to see and experience is the frustration and the unhappiness. So I'm not saying don't be frustrated and don't be unhappy, but make sure that you're recognizing when things are going well and when you're enjoying things and when the positive is there. Another thing you can do is you can expect that positive things are going to happen. Instead of going into circumstance and situation saying, oh man, I'm really, really worried that X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Instead, play with the idea of going in and saying, whew, wow, I'm really excited because what if A, B, and C happens? And that would be fabulous. So instead of expecting negative and challenge, expect positive and good. And then the other thing that I'm seeing is asking for help and support when you need it. This is really big. The whole idea of when you laugh, the whole world laughs with you. And when you cry alone. I think even though it's not something we really talk about as much anymore, that idea, that mentality has still been ingrained for many of us. And so when times are challenging and difficult, perhaps it's also difficult for us to reach out and ask for help and support, whether it's asking for help and support from the people who are physically here around us, or asking for help and support from our deceased loved ones, or angels, or spirit guides, or universe, God, source, creator, whatever your belief system is. It can be really isolating and challenging. And instead of going through that on our own, say, hey, I'm in a tough spot. I'm in a really tricky spot, and I want to move through this. I think it can be really helpful and significant instead of just like bypassing it and saying, I'm just going to be happy. I think that it can be really important when we are in those challenging times to make sure that we're doing the work, we're healing, we're supporting ourselves, because that makes us stronger on the other side. But asking for help and support also makes us stronger too. So if you're wanting to boost the positive in 2023, make sure that you're taking the time to recognize the things that are positive and amazing in your life. Giving gratitude to the people that you love who are showing up in your life is amazing. Recognizing when awesome things are happening instead of kind of taking them for granted can be another way to increase it. When things are challenging, asking for help and support from the people around you and also from your belief system, whatever that may be. But don't struggle alone. That's an awesome question. Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Hi, Maya from New Zealand. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Oh, amazing. So Chantel's just said, such a beautiful reading, spot on. Seeing new teacher guides come along as I expand. Oh, a Reiki Master as well. And developed her own healing, incorporating past lives. Perfect. That's awesome. That is so spot on. I'm so excited for you, Chantel. And I can hardly wait to see what more you do in 2023. You are welcome, Amanda. It's my pleasure. I think this is Shaylee, my apologies. I think I'm mispronouncing your name. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I am great. Thank you. Let me see, Maya, if you want to ask a specific question, I would love to do a reading for you. And same for you, Kylie, if you want to ask a specific question. Okay, so we've got Shaylee here. Am I going to regain my stability anytime soon? Yeah, you're already regaining it. It's interesting because the way that I'm seeing it is like training wheels. So I'm not exactly sure where you are, Chaley, because I see that you're joining us from YouTube. So welcome. So here in Canada, we have something called training wheels. And when kids are learning to ride a bike, they're little wheels that extend on the back of the bike. So it basically gives like 3 wheels at the back. It gives really good stability and support. And then over time, the wheels will be lifted up so that they aren't in contact with the ground. But if, they're starting to kind of tip, then the wheel on the one side will catch them. Or if they start to tip the other way, the wheel on the other side will catch. And that's kind of what I'm seeing you doing. So that says to me that you're already starting to gain balance and stability. So what we were just talking about with Amanda and talking about, how to expand the positive, one of the things that you can do is start to recognize how you've already regained stability. 6 months ago, I was in this place and I couldn't do X, Y, and Z. And now 6 months later, I'm in this place and look at what I'm able to do. One of the things that can be really difficult and challenging when we're going through challenge of any form is it can be really difficult to see the progress that we're making because we're in it day to day to day to day. But if somebody sees us and they haven't seen us for 6 months, they're able to say, wow, things are really big. Things are really different from the last time that I saw you. So it can be really helpful, one, to find where that reflection can come from. So people around you may be saying, hey, like, look at the growth that you're going through. That's amazing. Accept it when they offer it and be grateful that it's being offered to you. It's a reflection, a positive reflection of the growth that you're going through. And it's also, it can also be really helpful to go back and to say, wow, that's where I was, and this is where I am now. So I want to encourage you to see how your stability has already increased and improved. And you may be sitting there and saying, hey, Erin, I'm still feeling really, really wobbly. And yes, there has been growth and development, but I've seen all of the places where I've dropped back. And you know what? I'm really excited about those places too. And the reason for that is because sometimes we skip over things and it creates like a little bubble or a little instability in the foundation that we're creating. In going back and repeating something, it means that we are really learning it, we're really fixing it, and we're creating more stability in the foundation that we have. So even if you're saying, hey, like I feel like I'm constantly 2 steps forward, 1 step back, like I'm always falling back, you're still a step forward from where you were. And that step is going to be even stronger and sturdier because you went back and you were able to progress with it. So in terms of regaining stability anytime soon, yes, absolutely. It feels like it's something that's already in the works. It's already in progress. And I'm seeing significant steps in that increase in stability that's coming up over the next, say, 2.5 months. So yeah, this is coming up. The representations that I'm getting are physical, but it doesn't feel like they're actually physical stability things. It actually feels like it's life stability that you're working through. And so I'm seeing really big steps that are coming up. Like I'm seeing finances coming together. I'm seeing home and relationships are starting to come together, or at least coming to a place where things can be worked on and where there's a feeling of, okay, for right now, this is good. Yeah, it feels like there's stability that's coming in lots of different ways. And I'm really excited about that. The next 6 weeks feel like they're going to be a significant time. 6 weeks to 3 months, there's a lot of growth. There's a lot that's happening. I'm really excited about that for you, Shaylee. And again, I really hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. My apologies. Yeah, amazing. So the card that we have for you is the All Is Well card. This is Archangel Jeremiel. And it's interesting because Archangel Jeremiel also helps and supports us in life review and looking back. And that's one of the messages that came through really strongly for you, is to make sure you're doing that life review. And in addition to seeing the progress that you've made, also focusing on what your priorities are, so that the energy and the resources that you do have can go into the things that are priorities that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. So the most value for what is going out in terms of building and creating that stability. Archangel Jeremiel says, everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to, with hidden blessings you will soon understand. For me, that message really speaks to the information that came up a moment ago about the back steps that you might be experiencing, the little bubbles along the way, that everything has a blessing in it. And if you can see that blessing or be open to lessons having a blessing, then it makes it a lot easier. Shaylee, it was a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, support, and stability your way. Kareen, it is such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. And Shaylee, I just see your question right below. Will you get approved for the help that you applied for? Yeah, absolutely, you will. And it feels like that's coming in the next couple of weeks. So just keep going. Okay, Kylie, thank you for asking a specific question. Okay, so can we see anything coming up around family? Yeah. When I tap into family, things feel really deep. It feels like we've got a lot that's going on, and I'm feeling healing and repairing that is coming. So when I connect with your family, things feel like they're being pulled apart, or people maybe aren't seeing eye to eye, or there's a feeling of kind of disconnection. There's also almost like a feeling of isolation that's coming up. So often these things will happen when there is difficulty and people are having a difficult time like pulling together or feeling like they're not on their own. So what I'm seeing is that people are coming back together, that there is strength that is returning, and it is feeling positive. It also feels like there's a new energy and a new dynamic that is being formed and created, that feels like it's supportive of everyone. So part of what I'm seeing is this feeling of like people being disconnected and or feeling kind of isolated and alone, is it feels like it's really brought to the forefront what some are doing to support, and a recognition and a realization that the patterns can't continue as they are and be healthy for everyone involved. So it feels like there's a lot of change and a lot of healing and a lot of growth that's happening. Again, like I have this feeling of disconnection and isolation, but I'm kind of seeing that as being a positive thing, because it feels like it's part of what is needed right now in order to come to this place of like healing and coming together. I see it also as a return to balance. And when I look at balance, I feel that we need to explore each extreme in order to be able to come to that place in the middle where we are balanced. So separation and being fully together and completely together, we need to experience both of those extremes to say, hey, like this is actually the balance that we have. So there is a lot of healing that's happening in family right now that is feeling positive. There is something that is being left out, and it feels like it's intentional and it feels like it's important. It feels like it does come back around in the future, but that these other aspects and elements of family coming back together in this new way feels like it needs to happen first before this other thing can come back in. So Kylie, let's take a look and see. Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, guys. We have another spammer here, and I just didn't get them. I just saw them. Okay, so let's see what message is coming up for Kylie around family. I'm hearing just keep breathing. And I've got also some celebration that's coming up too. We've got Archangel Shamuel, and her message is peace. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real. And I can see how that could be part of the healing that's coming up, that it's more important to choose peace than it is to choose the challenge that feels like is currently being experienced, or that peace, recognizing peace as part of the healing process that people are going through at the moment. Yeah, there is a lot of change. There's a lot of transformation. I'm wanting to encourage you to breathe through the process, that things will get easier, they will get better, and that it's going to come back even stronger because of what has happened. Kylie, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. You guys, we have come to the end of our show. I am so incredibly grateful to each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to be here with me. It is always a pleasure to connect with you in this way. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. If you'd like to book your own personal reading with me, I would love to connect with you. You can do so on my website, bookingwitherin.com. And also, Bobbi, I believe, will be back next week doing her own thing next Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, which is 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And I have this really kind of surprise thing that's happening later this evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern. My friend Greg will be joining me for a conversation. I'm calling it Conversations with Friends. Greg is an incredibly interesting person. I believe that he's currently in India right now. He's about to enter into an ashram, I believe, for some pretty significant journey and experiences. Greg and I did this in September of 2021, and we had planned to do it in 2022, but things just weren't lining up. So today is the day. I will pop the information for that. There are links to where we will be live on YouTube and also live on my Heavenly Messenger Facebook page if you'd like to join us. He's a really interesting person. We always have really interesting conversations. Thank you so much again for joining me. I hope that you have a fabulous evening. And if you're able, I hope that you'll join Greg and I, and that you will see Bobbi next week on Oracle Chats. Big hugs, lots of love, and